welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, get your story titled, Am I the A-hole for leaving a vacation I planned with my girlfriend after her friends came along? And a big shout out to Rufus for sending me this story. And guys, this story is about a guy who finally, after 5 years of clearly being a doormat, was pushed too far and kicked his girl to the curb. A girl he was about to propose to when she screwed the whole thing up. And of course, she's begging and pleading for him to take her back, but he is done. However, you're going to see, guys, in this story, he's 29 and she is 28. He's been with her for 5 years, and he is your classic clueless nice guy. And what are classic clueless nice guys known for? Being doormats, being pushovers, not standing up for themselves, and their girls completely, through their actions and their words, treat them like crap. And they put up with it, and they can't understand why. And this is what we have here. And you're going to see that this guy says and does a lot of things that are going to want to make you want to smack him, and so did I. That doesn't help a situation. His girlfriend's an a-hole. He wanted to plan this weekend away for them, a ski weekend in Colorado. And it's 5-year anniversary, he was going to propose to her. He bought the ring and everything. And lo and behold, last minute, she invites her friends to come along. Just shows you how important he is to her in the grand scheme of things. And you'll see how this whole thing goes down. And it goes to show you guys how you cannot, and I say this again, you cannot be this spineless pushover for your relationship, guys. If you guys don't date, you don't care. The common denominator of all these stories are the women that act like a-holes and the guys that are all weak and spineless and don't stand up for themselves. Women do not respect weakness. And if you let people push you around and take advantage of you, particularly women, they're going to treat you like crap. And the only reason they keep you around is because they want to have a ring on their finger or a guy that can provide, and usually they're cheating on them and amongst many other things. So you got to kick them to the curb if they get that way. Or, more importantly, stand up for yourself, be a freaking man, not take crap from anybody, etc., etc. And it doesn't mean you gotta be a jerk all the time. It's just you simply stand up for yourself and you not allow yourself to be pushed around. But so many guys nowadays, because they're raised in households where there was no masculine role model to show them the ropes, they listen to their mom who wants to raise them to be perfect little gentlemen, and you get what you have here in all these stories. Or the guys that do have it around are just like these guys in their stories, and they set a bad example. This is why there's so much can be learned from these stories, from people's mistakes. But anyhow, I've gone on too much. So it starts off, says here, my girlfriend Sarah and I have been dating for 5 years, and I wanted to go on vacation with her to celebrate. I planned the trip for several months. Of course, I shared my plans with her, and decided on skiing, snowboarding, other winter activities in Colorado. That sounds cool. The activity seemed perfect, and I was looking forward to this for months because I wanted to propose to her at the end of the trip. So he's really putting some thought into this whole thing. This is every girl's dream come true. The thoughtful guy wants to plan these things and all that. Unfortunately, you're going to see through her actions what she really thinks of him. 5 days before the trip. Remember, he'd been planning this for months. 5 days before the trip, Sarah dropped the ball on me that she invited 2 of her friends to meet her there. Does that sound to you guys like a gal that really loves her guy? That's excited to get away for a few days with her man? No. Sounds like a gal who does not want to spend too much time alone with her guy for obvious reasons. I was upset because I wanted to spend one-on-one time with Sarah for our anniversary. I felt like it was plain and clear this trip was just for us. It was plain and clear. She just doesn't give a shit. Even though I expressed my concerns. Expressed your concerns? Dude. Women express their concerns, express their feelings. Men need to say what's on their damn mind and be straightforward. I don't want to hear about this expressing your concerns. That's what girls do. That's part of your problem. Sarah insisted that her friends already made plans to come with us and won't back out. Well, you can inform Sarah that this trip was for us, and you knew about it, and you should not be inviting your friends along with this, so either they back out or I'm backing out. End of story. Or this guy, given what we were going to find out about her past, should say, you know what? This is the final straw. You got no respect for me. You know this was for us. We're done. But instead, watch what he does. I decided to accept this because there's no way for me to force her friends not to come. Smack. I call bullshit on that. There are certainly some things you could have said and done to change the situation. The problem is our guy here doesn't have a backbone at this point. He says, I wish I fought more on this. I figured we could make some changes to our plans and I would still be able to propose to her privately. Sarah essentially blew me off for her friends and we didn't get any private time. And that, gentlemen, is what happens when a gal has no respect for you. And she's clearly with him because I think, it says here she's 29, he's 28. So she found her nice guy in her mid-20s to shack up with, settle down with. Meanwhile, how does she treat him? And he's one of these guys you can tell who thinks that if I treat her so well, she'll just love me so much and treat me well back. And even if she pulls bullshit like this and I treat her so well and express my feelings, well, no, that's not true. She just treats him worse. And I guarantee her friends are the same way. To her friends, he's probably the biggest joke in the world. And I'm guaranteeing she probably cheats on him. After 3 days of being in second place, I decided to leave the trip and head home. Good for him. And leave her the bill. I hope when he got to the hotel, he had her put her credit card down. I told Sarah why I was leaving, and she was upset. She told her friends about my decision, and I was ganged up on. Of course they did, because you're outnumbered by a bunch of girls, and they know you. They know that you're a pushover, that you're weak, and they're going to come after you. And they figure that with enough browbeating, they can beat him into submission and change his mind. They said we were all having a great time. She thinks I'm being a jerk for making her pick between her friends and me, even though her friends weren't invited in the first place. See? Twisting it around, making it out to be his fault. He's the bad guy. Guys, you're hearing his story. Does he sound like the bad guy to you? He's a bonehead for being so pushover, but he's not the bad guy here. She is. But her actions communicate, because it's all about actions. She doesn't give a shit about this guy. I never had personal issues with her friends prior to this trip. Well, you should have. I never made Sarah pick me or her, between her friends, because everyone needs friends outside of a relationship. I'm at home now, and I'm thinking about everything. I have a date for myself before Sarah comes home, so at least I get to relax a bit. Well, notice Sarah isn't calling him or texting him or chasing after him to find out what's wrong. She doesn't give a shit. She probably got pissed off at him, and the girls are pissed off at him, and I bet you they're drinking away a bunch of snow bunnies up in Colorado in their late 20s, and they're meeting other guys. Guaranteed. Sarah and her friends think I'm overreacting and think I ruined the trip. Sounds like they're having a lot of fun to me on his credit card. Of course he's the villain here. I think Sarah was disrespectful and rude to me by ruining the purpose of this trip and having her friends gang up on me. She is. Dude, she doesn't deserve you. You're better than her. Break up with her. And before you even consider getting a new girl, start working on yourself and find out where you went wrong here so you don't repeat the same mistakes. And I'll come back to that later. So he says here, he wraps up the first part to the saying, am I the a-hole for leaving on vacation I planned after my girlfriend after her friends came along? No, you're not. The only thing you're guilty of being an a-hole is being too nice, being too accommodating, and not standing up for yourself. Women do not respect weakness, and they will test you. And when a guy acts weak and he fails her test, there'll be more testing. And they usually end up punishing a guy for being weak by acting like a total BIT. So, and until the guy stands up for himself, because women don't want, in spite of what you see in the movies and television, which is all bullshit anyway, that's not what they want. They want a guy they can respect and look up to, who is a leader, who takes charge. And when they're being a-holes, and we can all be a-hole guys. Guys can be a-holes, and if a guy's being an a-hole to his wife or girlfriend who's good to him, he's having a bad day and takes it on her, she should stand up to him. And I agree with that. Same thing with the guys if his girl's being bitchy, because you just put up with it, and amongst many other things, that will make them lose attraction to you. And they'll stay with you because of your resources, or they want a ring or something like that, like here. No, so you're not being the a-hole. But if you stay with her and keep putting up with this, you definitely get what you deserve. Now, let's see what happens when she comes back. He says here, small update. This was a planned anniversary romantic trip. I was clear that the plans were just for the two of us. We've been on other anniversary trips together without her friends there. We did discuss marriage beforehand, so it's not like the proposal wouldn't be out of the blue. And he says here's a minor update. My friends are here at the house, and they have been running potential interference just in case her friends try to bombard me and harass me. Dude, your girlfriend comes home with her friends, and her friends are in your place, and they start giving you shit. You would need to tell them to get the fuck out of there. They've been great, and I'm glad that I have them. This is what bros are for. He also says, none of Sarah's friends came by the house or harassed me yesterday or last night, which is good. Sarah hasn't come home yet. I figured out what I wanted to say and have written it out. Gee, where's she? What's she doing? Shows how much she cares about him. It shows how self-absorbed she is to realize maybe I'm doing something wrong that's upsetting him. And because if she cared about him, she would actually apologize and try to, do something. But instead, she makes out to make him the villain. Now is the update to wrap this up to see what happens here. So as I decided that I wanted to end this entire relationship. Hallelujah! Praise the Lord, you're finally grown a pair. I packed my important belongings, passport, clothes, etc., and arranged with my best friends to crash at his apartment until I can find my own. Usually when small issues happen in a relationship, it ties into bigger issues into the relationship. The main reason I decided to break up is because I realized that her friends will always be closer to her than me. Yes, you are the bottom of the fucking totem pole. And if you married her, oh my God. If she's showing you lack of respect now, can you imagine what it would be like to marry her? In this situation, he's dodging a big one here. It's good this happened because he had the ring. He was going to propose, and this happened. He could be engaged to her and marry her. Sarah has favored her friends over me and blown me off on some of our other plans for her friends more than once. So she has a history of this, and he allows it and doesn't stand up for himself. Remember, weakness. You act weak and don't stand up to her, stand up for yourself, but yet stay with her, she'll lose more and more respect. It'll just go down lower and lower and lower. And the same BS will keep happening. But he's a nice guy, thinks, if I just treat her so well, then she'll just love me more. It doesn't work that way. I was lying to myself for years because I didn't want to face reality yet. I had hoped she would change, but this trip really opened my eyes that I will always be in third place to her. I expressed my feelings multiple times. Smack! What did I tell you about saying that I express my feelings? Take the tampon out, dude. You don't express your feelings. You say what's on your goddamn mind. Women are about expressing their feelings. You need some work, man, and I'll come back to the end. And Sarah promised that she would change, and she did not. Of course she didn't change. Why should she have to change? She knows you're going to be there no matter what. Sarah came home late yesterday. I said I have a lot to get off my chest, and I wanted to get through my notes before she talks or tries to interrupt me. He knows her. He knows she's going to interrupt him. The first question I asked Sarah was how she thought the trip went. She said we all had fun, and it was memorable. Yeah, it's memorable because she got a lot of Chad and Tyrone sausage when he left. I should have to feel like the third wheel in my own relationship, especially on a trip that I planned. My next question was, why did you invite your friends in the first place? You knew this was our anniversary trip for us. She talked about the trip with her friends since the beginning, and they'd never been to Colorado. So, they're big girls, they're in their 20s, I assume they have jobs and credit cards, they can book their own trip to Colorado, she doesn't have to have them there. But the truth is, she doesn't care to spend her time with him. Maybe she suspected he was going to propose and didn't want that and wanted to have them clam slam and get in the way. I don't know. The point is, a gal that's in love with her guy would be thrilled to get away with him and spend time with him alone. So this says everything. Should that be a good idea to allow them to come along so they could have fun in Colorado with us? I followed it with my lack of knowledge of her friends coming up along until days before. It's one thing that they came and did their own activities, but it's another thing that every activity became a group activity. I signed up for a monogamous, not poly relationship. Exactly. But notice again, he wasn't standing up for himself. He didn't draw the line and said, they're not coming to this trip, not happening, and yet they went on the trip. And when they were on the trip, he didn't stand up for himself saying, we're going to have some alone time here. So this guy has a history of behaving like this. Can't do it. My last question was, did you know that I was going to propose to you? Sarah said she didn't know at all. The thought never crossed her mind that I was going to ask. She claimed that she wouldn't have invited her friends to come if she knew, but I responded that it would ruin the surprise if I told you. Duh. Sarah begged me to stay with her and believes we can work everything out. Now she's begging, huh? Because she knew she was going to get a ring and get a wedding and have her magical day and get to be a Mrs. Somebody and have this sucker, this chump, pay for her. Too late. She didn't want me to throw 5 years away after this one bad trip. Throw 5 years away. They always say that. You're going to throw this all away over this? Well, no, it's been all the bullshit that's been going on. I'm throwing this away. I listened to her promises to change for years regarding her friends, but nothing happened. And nothing's going to change ever again, dude. I ultimately left Sarah with this. It's clear that you're there, that there isn't enough room for you. Let me start again. It's clear that there isn't enough room in your heart for your best friends and your friends. As much as I love Sarah, I can't stay in a relationship where I'm not respected enough. Good for you. I left Sarah in the house by herself and I drove off to my friend's place. Awesome. Good for you. I'll figure out how to get my name off the lease and I'll plan to get the rest of my belongings. As for the ring, I'll return it this weekend. So that wraps up his story, and I'm going to get to the comments in a moment. But guys, like I said before, he has a history of this. 5 years he's been Mr. Nice Guy, and this has happened lots of times where they wanted to go do something, and her friends always come along, and he is like, the low man on the totem pole with her. Guys, you're going to be in a relationship, you got to be the number one for your girl, okay? If everybody else is important to her first ahead of you, that says everything you know. And again, while she's the a-hole in the story, this guy brings on a lot of the problems himself. And in a moment, I'm going to read comments. And the entire comment section is full of people on his side, which is good. However, they're on his side in the sense saying that she's the a-hole and all that. But nobody says, dude, you need to grow a pair. You were too nice. You were too much of a pushover, a doormat. You invited her bad behavior. Sure, she's the a-hole, we can all agree. But the problem is, if he doesn't recognize where he's been going wrong, I guarantee in a year he'll be in another relationship, he'll do the same thing he's doing here, and the girl will be treating him like crap all over again. And where is he going wrong? Too nice, too much of a pushover, doesn't stand up for himself. All right? You can be a good guy, but you put yourself first. You don't let anybody push you around, take advantage of you. He's too cowardly before to speak up and stand up for himself, so she just keeps taking and taking and taking. He's clearly a giver, and she's a taker. And while I got no problem being a giver and being generous, when somebody takes advantage of that, you can't be in a relationship with them. So this guy has a lot of work on himself. This guy should not at all get into a fucking relationship until he works on himself. But the problem is, nobody's telling him that. The whole comment section is they're standing up for him, which is cool, but nobody tells him what he needs to hear. But this is why I do these videos, to share these stories and break it down and tell the person in the story, whether they hear it or not, what they need to hear. Which makes people either pretty much love me or hate me because, most people don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. So I wish this guy the best, but good for him for finally growing a pair in the end and kicking her to the curb. Now, I didn't see any updates to this. I'm sure there will be. But I guarantee you, she's going to be bombarding him with texts and phone calls and messages, fucking smoke signals too, including her friends trying to get him to change his mind. I hope he doesn't cave, but we shall see. I'll pay close attention to this one. Now some updates. Some comments here. One guy says here, aside from the obvious issues of her behavior, the thing that throws me the biggest loop is that she didn't immediately follow you home. If my partner had become upset enough that they would leave our anniversary vacation early, it would have been enough. I would have been one step behind them. I would have been one step behind them to get home and unfuck whatever mess had been created, even if I thought they were being unreasonable or dramatic about the whole thing. By staying, she basically said, your emotions and perspectives are not my priority and never will be in our actions. Exactly. I'm sorry it came to that, but I'm glad your friend is able to help you out here, sticking to your own guns and your decision. Hopefully she learns from it, and if not, hopefully it's a situation you only have to encounter once in your life. Well, I hope he only encounters this once in his life, but he doesn't realize where he's going wrong and stand up for himself and grow a spine, permanently. Next relationship will be just like this, guaranteed. And I guarantee you, it ain't over. She's going to be after him. Now the guy says here, I don't think it's only the prioritizing of her friends. I think she just couldn't admit that she actually didn't want to be with the OP. And she was being selfish cowardice by stringing him along. OP, you deserve someone who truly cares about you and who considers you their partner and closest, most important family. He made the best decision for you. Exactly. Now one more. This guy says, she worked mighty hard to get to this point. And he breaks this down. He says, number one, she knew this was your anniversary trip. She invited friends to it. Who does that? 2, she knew you wanted to be romantic, and she invited them anyway. 3, she knew you were upset about her completely rewriting the trip in a way that basically didn't take you into account at all. She wouldn't back down. The friends' concerns were more important than yours. Correct. All these things. Pay attention to people's actions. Number 4, she knew you wanted time with her. It never materialized because having fun with her friends was more important than her with you. Yep. 5. You got mad enough to leave your own anniversary trip, and even that wasn't enough for her to clue her in on how deeply she effed up. She finished your anniversary trip without you and characterized it as astonishingly as having gone well. Because, like I said, the little snow buddies are having fun with the Chad and Tyrone up those snowboarding Chad and Tyrones. Number 6. When she got home, she still was trying to spin it that you were in the wrong. If you had only told her you were going to propose, then she would have listened. Anything short of that, though, like talking to a brick wall. She's one of those people who are categorically, constitutionally incapable of recognizing when they're wrong. That's a large percentage of the female population. Even though after being dumped, she has so little regard for you and your prerogatives. She even thinks she doesn't have to let you leave. Her friends can save her. Amen. She can go have relations with her friends. It's over. I hope like hell this guy does not take her back, but his history has demonstrated that he caves. He's a pushover, and I guarantee you, she's not going to back down. She's going to try every trick to get him back. First crying, that doesn't work. Then probably insulting him, browbeating him, all that, because she's learned I can browbeat him into getting my way. Because once a woman has a certain perception of you guys, it's very hard to change that. And a lot of these stories show where a guy finally grows a pair and he stands up to his girl or kicks her to the curb when she's gone too far. And they just keep coming back after again because they think he's the same old guy, even though he actually has changed. So we shall see what happens here. But a situation like this, guys, if it gets that bad, you leave, walk away, never look back. But more importantly, you don't let it get this bad by being a fucking man and not expressing your feelings. You say what's on your mind, stand up for yourself, and that's that. And if she's going to disrespect you through her actions and words, move on. Plenty of other girls out there. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.